Well, Jawando, I think it's important that we get sort of your initial reaction to the news today. Though you declared victory on Friday, we got the statement from your fellow competitor, Mr. Friedson, who conceded today. We understand that you two had a conversation. Can you tell us what was said?
Well, first, I just want to thank all the folks who supported our campaign. I want to thank Councilmember Friedson, Councilmember Glass for running strong campaigns. Yeah, he called to concede and congratulate me on winning the Democratic nomination and to offer his assistance as we head into the general election here in November. We both reiterated that we understand that each of us cares about this county very deeply and want to see it succeed. And it was a relatively short call, and I said I hope we wished each other well and wished families well, and that they would have we each would get time with our own families for a little bit of break this summer. But I appreciate it. And he also acknowledged that he knows that the way the votes are trending, and since our lead has actually expanded since the last drop of votes yesterday, that there's no way that he would catch up. So put the statement out, and he told me he would be putting a statement out shortly, which I think you all have seen.
Mm-hmm. Now from this, you move on to the general election, and you've talked a lot about affordability, and you've also talked about housing as well as sort of key platforms that you want to touch on. I'd imagine that we'll be hearing a lot more from you about those issues and others leading up to the general election. What do you think you need to get across to voters as you head toward November? Granted, Montgomery County is a heavily blue county. Still, there's a case to be made. And so what is that case that you want to make to voters in the general election?
Well, look, it's the same thing I've been doing for the last year and a half, that I've run for this office just like I ran for council 8 years ago, because I want everyone here to have access to a great school in every neighborhood, to affordable housing, to a job that pays a living wage. And whether you're a young person trying to move here for the first time and find somewhere to live, a renter trying to stay in their home, or a senior who's doesn't want to get priced out, we need to have something that addresses that for everybody. And I think there's a lot of things we can pursue. I'm going to be pursuing a universal child care program here in the county. We're off to a good start, but there's still tens of thousands of young people that can't afford or not in early care and education settings. I'm going to go to the other end of the spectrum. I'm going to be working to reform our senior property tax credit, which now requires you to be in your home for 40 years in order to get any relief. And then everything in between. We're going to look to build truly affordable and attainable housing, looking at lowering cost of materials, building near transit, using incentives in the appropriate way, not just to developers to build luxury housing, but to make sure that they're actually building affordable housing. So there's a lot to do. I want to make our tax system more fair. So data centers and major corporations don't pay the same property tax rate as a single family home, which is the case now. So there's a lot to do. And I'll be rolling those things out over the course of the next several weeks and months. And so we can hit the ground running, and including community input in that process, right? We have really smart people who care about our community. And I want to make sure we're hearing from all these different voices as we build this platform out.
Can you tell us a little bit about sort of the idea about raising revenue? I mean, all of these programs that you want to initiate cost money. And clearly the county has been struggling, as we saw with Montgomery County Public Schools budget, about money, trying to make sure that there's enough of it to go around and having to make some cuts to make sure that the money that is available goes as far as it can. So considering the things that you want to do, how do you raise the revenue?
Yeah, that's a great question. And embedded in what I just said about making our taxes more fair, that actually will be a revenue raiser. If you charge a higher tax rate, which we should, property tax rate to data centers and to corporations and commercial property, and reduce the tax rate for residents who own single family homes, for example, that will be a net gain in revenue, I think, over time. We're going to have to ask the wealthiest among us, who have done really well, which we're glad that they have, to pay their fair share. And I think you're seeing that frustration across the country as we have our first trillionaire and more to come when the IPOs for the AI companies happen. People are saying, well, I'm working 2, 3 jobs and I can't afford my electric bill. I can't afford my rent or my property tax bill. And they're frustrated with this income inequality. So that's going to be part of it. The second part is growing the tax base and growing our economy. 95% of our businesses in the county are small. My mom and dad own 2 of them, a catering business and transportation service, respectively. The other thing I've committed to doing is within my first 100 days, coming out with a regulatory reform package that lowers fees for small businesses, reduces timelines, time is money, and makes it easier to start and grow a business in Montgomery County. And I think you need to do both of those things. You need to make our taxes fair and make it easier to start and grow a business, which will grow the tax base. And then go recruit more businesses that are in fields that we're really good at, like life science, where we're third in the nation, light manufacturing, and hospitality and tourism. There's things that we can build upon here to grow our tax base. And I think you're going to need both of those. And then the third piece of this, the third leg of the stool, is you're going to have to sequence these. You can't do everything at once. We're not going to go from, every child having universal pre-K tomorrow, but we can do it over time, over the course of my term, and we can ramp it up. And then have honest conversation with the residents about what kind of services do we want. People move here because they want great schools, but you got to pay for them. They want great parks. They want great libraries. They want their trash picked up on time. We're a great community because we provide great services, and we have to pay for that, and everyone has to participate.
All right. Well, Jawando, we will leave it there. And of course, we'll be following you every step of the way as we gear up for what will be a busy November for many of us. Well, Jawando, good to see you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.